Ladies and gentlemen, this has to be the most unsurprising video I've ever made, because despite not knowing what Daniel Larson was going to do this week, I think we all had a pretty good hunch that he was probably going to go off inside another random Colorado establishment. And lo and behold, that's exactly what happened. Twice, actually. We have to cover two instances here, because within an exact week of each other, on December 16th and then December 23rd, and in that time, Daniel made sure to be an absolute nuisance, and he did this at an IHOP and a hotel, respectively. It feels like every single weekend we are getting a new Daniel Larson freakout video, and honestly, that's the pattern that I'm seeing here. Daniel does this especially on the weekends. Usually during the week, he's just pretty quiet, going about his day, going crazy on his community tab, but apparently, once Friday rolls around, it's time to get disrespectful up in these restaurants. But yeah, last night, December 23rd, Daniel had an Olive Garden-like moment inside of some random hotel in Denver. But first we have to look at Daniel's incident from last week that took place at an IHOP. I remember seeing this live and feeling so bad for the poor waitress who was talking about how she just wanted to go home, but Daniel was keeping her there because he was just sitting around after eating, waiting for some random person to shoot him over money to pay for his meal. Obviously, this money never came in, and the cops ended up showing up and telling Daniel to leave. However, ladies and gentlemen, it's a bit more complicated than that, with a lot more twists and turns in the story than you would expect. And I feel like there's no better way to sum this up than the Larson Wikipedia article they did on it. This entire wiki is phenomenal if you want to learn about what Daniel Larson's been up to and the stuff he's done in the past, so it'll be linked in the description below. But I want to read this off and just show you guys how it really went when Daniel was in this IHOP last week. Entitled The IHOP Incident, they write that on December 16th, 2023, Daniel stayed for an hour past getting his bill, waiting for management to pay. The server who was dealing with Daniel pleaded with him that she just wanted to go home and put her kids to bed, and had already stayed past when her shift ended. Daniel explained that someone else was paying the bill through the app, to which the waitress said that he had said that an hour ago and it still hadn't happened yet. If that is true and this girl was just trying to go home and put her kids to bed, it sucks that she ran into this brick wall known as Daniel Larson, because there was going to be nothing she could do. Daniel knew damn well that he didn't have a dime to pay for his meal, and I'm not even sure if the trolls offered to pay for it for him. I feel like Daniel a lot of these times is hungry, so he goes to these restaurants, goes and gets food, and then he just assumes people will send him over money to pay for it at the end of it. It's not always going to happen like that, but in Daniel's case, weirdly enough, sometimes it does, but this was one of those instances where it didn't, and so this girl was left to just wait here twiddling her thumbs until Daniel can get some cash app from some make-believe like Vanderwall representative and stuff. This is exactly what the little guy thought was going to go down. Daniel then changed his story, saying that a manager was calling the cops and he was now waiting for them. He argued with the server, telling her that he would pay the bill if they had called off the cops. She agreed and walked away. Eventually, the police did arrive, including the same officers from the Olive Garden incident. They allowed Daniel to leave without paying on the condition that he did not come back, letting him once again get out scot-free with no lasting consequences, further enlarging his delusions of grandeur and making it certain that Daniel will never truly face the consequences to his actions. Wow, right? Like that last part probably got you going, holy shit. We had just talked about last week how Daniel lost it inside of that Panera Bread, or Olive Garden. I'm sorry, they all merged together. Every restaurant, like not a single one of them is free from feeling Daniel's wrath. But we had just talked about it last week, and so many of y'all were asking me the same question of, why isn't this guy behind bars now? Daniel's already on probation, and causing the scene he caused inside of Olive Garden, pulling the fire alarm and all that, like there's gotta be some reason here to say that he broke his probation. And then let's look at this instance right here, where Daniel just goes in and doesn't pay for his meal. I mean, with anyone else, you could imagine they'd throw him right in the back of a cop car. With Daniel, it's no, you're good, little guy. You just get out of here and you don't come back. It genuinely feels like they're giving Daniel as many chances as he can possibly take, because they probably look at him and go, oh, this dude doesn't know any better. But guess what? That's not a reason to leave him out there on the streets. If anything, that's a reason to have him behind bars even more so. But at this point, I don't think they care. They'd rather it be the public's problem rather than their own. Although after a while of constantly getting these calls and having to go to restaurants to kick Daniel out, you'd think they'd get sick of it and want to do something about it, but nah, they don't mind. A lot of these situations are very troll influenced. The trolls tell them to go here and do this, do that, but this here seems like one of those situations that Daniel himself got him put into, by saying that he could pay and expecting random people to pay it for him. You know Daniel, and he just assumed he was so famous that people would be just begging to pay for his meal, you know? But while I don't think this particular instance was troll influenced, the one from the following week, the one from last night, I absolutely think was. So let's jump to that and see Daniel Larson just going at it with some poor girl who's just working her job at the front desk of some random hotel somewhere.
I don't care. It's been every business on this street.
I'm friends with Woody's manager, so...
They called us saying that you were causing troubles.
I haven't even been there in like a couple months.
Please leave, Daniel. I am asking you to please leave the property. I'm not doing this with you tonight. I do not want to call the police, and I will. Okay?
Like, why
You're
would
not
you?
allowed
Why?
in the property
Why would you call the police on me if I'm not doing anything?
because I've asked you to leave. And
But
we have had multiple people come and tell us
Right,
that
but
you are causing problems in Golden, Colorado. I have people that are paying good money to stay here.
I did too.
Property.
I did too. You're stealing my money because
I'm not
I've
stealing
already
your money.
booked a motel
Daniel,
room.
I
Daniel,
don't
I looked at the
have.
reservation that you provided me, the confirmation.
I don't
number.
have anything for you.
There is nothing in there. There is absolutely nothing in there. We have asked you nicely.
I have-
I'm going to tell you need to leave.
I have proof that I booked the reservation.
Let me see it.
I just read it to you, like
No,
when I
let
was
me-
sitting right
let
over
me
there.
see it.
Yes.
I don't care if you take a video of me for your stupid TikTok account. I'm over it, and I will have the police trespass you if you do not leave the property right now.
Go ahead and trespass me.
Okay, great.
I'm working on
This
that.
is uncalled for.
It's not uncalled for. I have the right to refuse anybody in this building whenever I feel like it. I don't want the issues. And it's a red flag when all of Golden knows about who you are, Daniel.
It's because I'm fucking famous.
I don't care. I don't care if you're famous. They're
So
calling our business saying that you're causing trouble. And right now, you are causing my property trouble. So I need you to leave.
okay, then I'll leave the fucking state of Colorado.
Bye. See you later. Are you serious right now?
Yes.
Why? That's why you're kicked out. Get out. I'm calling the police. Get out.
You guys are ridiculous. Like just because I booked a motel room.
Don't break my stuff. Don't break my stuff. Get out, Daniel. Now. Get out. Don't come back. If you come back,
Then I'll leave fucking Colorado.
get out. Get out.
Then
of
I'll
my
leave
property.
fucking
Get out of
Colorado.
my property now.
Then I guess I'll violate fucking probation and leave Colorado.
Goodbye.
Because all this fucking town
Goodbye.
is reporting me.
Goodbye.
Dear Lord, where do we even begin with that one? Firstly, Daniel's walking in there saying that he swears up and down that he has a reservation for this hotel. Now again, this is probably a troll telling him, hey, I booked you a night, so go to the front desk, check in, and don't take no for an answer, Daniel, because I paid good money for this. Obviously, that's just a theory, but with how persistent Larson was that he had a room there and he knew it was already paid for, it makes me think that there's no reason he would think that other than someone putting it into his head. The lady, though, the lady makes it known that everyone around the area already knows about Daniel and all of his antics. They all think that he's like seemingly recording them for TikTok as like a troll himself. Now, while Daniel absolutely does harass the public and point cameras in their face like any other degenerate IRL streamer, Daniel doesn't go out in public, I feel like, with the intention to do that. He simply gets put in situations to where he freaks out and records these people. Now, I'm not giving him any excuses, I'm just saying that he doesn't intentionally go out to do this, whereas people like, say, I don't know, Jack Dougherty or Vitaly would go out strictly to try to mess with people. And so that's what this woman basically thinks Daniel is, like one of these like shock jock TikTokers, and it doesn't take long for him to start freaking out and saying that, he wants to leave the state of Colorado. That seems to be his new thing, Daniel. I think he wants a new change of scenery, and maybe all this, hectic stuff going on in Colorado, that pesky probation and all that, it's time for Daniel to get away from it. I imagine they wouldn't care considering he breaks it all the time and they do nothing about it. But when told that he's not staying there and that there's really no room for him and anything like that, as you can see, Daniel freaks out. When asked to leave the premises, he throws that sign on the ground, he tries breaking stuff. He has no types of time for anybody but himself. That girl behind the desk and these people who set up this whole hotel to look nice for the Christmas season, fuck that. I'm gonna push that over if you don't give me what I want. Joe Schmo over the phone here is telling me that I got a room, so that means that I 100% got a room. Now let's be honest here. Daniel is the most gullible person on the face of the earth. I don't even know if gullible is a good enough word for it, but the fact that these guys can constantly, day by day, tell him that he's got a hotel, tell him to go to Olive Garden because the Vanderwall family will be waiting for him, telling him to go to New York so he can meet Grace Vanderwall. He actually did that. It's when is he ever gonna be capable of realizing, hey, maybe all these guys telling me this stuff that never ends up being true don't have my best interest in mind, and I shouldn't listen to them. But he just can't plausibly do it, because I think that would go against his whole worldview in general. He already thinks that him and Grace Vanderwall are an item, even though this girl wants nothing to do with him if she even knows he exists. And he has to have this facade of the world he thinks he lives in, to where they're a couple and he's a big famous music artist. Now, I'm not no mental health expert, but I really think this world that Daniel thinks he lives in is because he wants to get away from the sadness of just being homeless and really not having anybody there to call a friend or anything. So if this world view ever gets shattered, he might lose his mind worse than we've ever seen him before. But luckily, I don't think that's ever going to happen, because Daniel strikes me as the person who's going to live his entire life simply being baited to do whatever the trolls want him to do, because at this point, the internet's going to be forever, ladies and gentlemen. In our lifetime, there is always going to be people like Daniel Larson, and there's going to be people online who want to mess with them. And I think this is the time in the video where I should say to the people who troll Daniel, I get it. He's a predator, and you guys want him to face consequences for his actions. But I always implore these people, do not send him to public places. Stop putting him in positions to where he can possibly hurt other people. I get it, personal responsibility. But with someone like Daniel Larson, he never would have been at that hotel in the first place if someone hadn't told him that he had a room there. Now, can Daniel be to blame because he really just took this hook, line, and sinker and ran with it? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, it's now an unnecessary situation that these people at the hotel have to deal with, that the guy who trolled Daniel to do this could have completely avoided by just shutting his fucking mouth. Nonetheless, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. It's the end of the year, and 2023 was an absolutely insane year for Daniel Larson. I'm going to be working on a retrospective video covering his entire year, and when that's out, I hope you guys enjoy it. But for now, let me just tell y'all happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and I hope y'all have a great one, man. To you and yours, I hope all your family, everyone, all your friends, everyone has a great one this year, and that expands all the way into 2024 as well. You guys are absolute goats, and I wish you guys nothing but the best. And until the next video, I'm going to get out of here, and remember, ladies and gentlemen, no matter how bad things can be, you could always be a lot worse. You could always be Daniel Larson.